Why, hello there YouTube, and welcome to a brand new episode of the James Bond years. In this one, we are going over the Brosnan years, 1995 to 2002. So, after 6 years off screen, after the disappointment of License to Kill, the studio went quiet for a while. And they were brainstorming. They thought they have no more short story or book adaptations to do a Bond, so like License to Kill, they thought they have to get original here, come up with a fresh story, a fresh title, still keep the Bond character in there, and then they did. And in 1995 we've got the Bond franchise back on track with GoldenEye. So, when this one came about, they asked Timothy Dalton if he would be interested in returning as Bond, making his Goldfinger. But by the time a new Bond film had come about, Timothy Dalton had lost interest in returning to the franchise, so they had to get a new actor. And after Roger Moore wanted to leave, they almost went with Pierce Brosnan, and then they went back to him. And they asked his agent, saying that they want him. His agent then phoned Brosnan and he said, "You've got the part if you want it." And he just accepted like that. Probably because he was now eligible for the role, supposedly, now that he was about 42 at the time. So, yes, he made his first James Bond appearance in the 1995 GoldenEye. Its theme song sang by Tina Turner, and of course co-starring Sheffield's very own Sean Bean. Yes, like him, I am a Sheffielder too. So this is probably one of Sean Bean's longest surviving roles in a film, because he's known for dying, which he does do at the end of the film, and he plays the bad guy in this, Alec Trevelyanen. Oh God, what is it? Is it Trevelyan? Trevelyan? Just bear with me a second. It's Alec Trevelyan. Yes. How could I forget that? Or how could he just slipped my mind. Alec Trevelyan, or also known as 006 in the opening act of this film, and then turned evil. But we'll talk more about the villains for another video, because I am planning on doing one where we talk all Bond villains. So anyway, yes, Pierce Brosnan made his debut as Bond in GoldenEye, the third Bond film to have golden in its title, or the gold in the title. The other two being Goldfinger and The Man with the Golden Gun. So in this we also got some new cast members. We had Samantha Bond, now playing the role of Moneypenny, and we had Desmond Llewellyn return as Q for his 15th Bond film, because he played Q in 17 films, which again we'll have to do in another video about Q. We also got, for the first time ever, a female M. Yeah, that's right. After some men played M, they thought, you know what, Britain have had a female Prime Minister, why don't we see what audience would think to a female M? And Judi Dench took on that role as M. And to be honest, I found her gender irrelevant to the story, I mean, I grew up watching the Connery films, but I gotta say the first M I took really much notice of was Judi Dench. Like, I knew her as that woman from the Bond films. Again, we'll talk more about M in another film, but yes, I don't know if history in the franchise was made there by having a female M, which I think did work because it wasn't focusing on our main character, James Bond. And yeah, I mean, I guess it worked. They did something right because she's like the longest running actress, person to play M in the Bond films. So yeah, Bond was back, and I think it was well received. But people hadn't quite taken, I don't think, to Brosnan just yet. So 1996, we didn't get a Bond film. 1997, Brosnan returned once again in his second outing in Tomorrow Never Dies. Again, we had the regulars return: Judi Dench as M, Desmond Llewellyn as Q, Samantha Bond as Moneypenny, and we got Jonathan Pryce as the villain Elliot, who ran the Tomorrow's News but was a corrupt villain. Yeah. Of course, we also got what's the name out of Desperate Housewives, or probably at the time known as Lois Lane in Lois and Clark's The New Adventures of Superman. She was in this as the Bond girl called Paris, and yeah, she had a one-off stand with Bond, but in real life, them two didn't really like each other. But then Brosnan eventually did apologise to her the way he treated her on set because he was unaware of the early stages of pregnancy at that point. But they still made it. They still kept it professional on screen. But we also got another Bond girl in there that was Asian. I can't remember her name now, but I will have to research and know all the Bond girls' names for a future video. So yeah, this one I believe was going all techno and all computers and what have you, because this was the dawn of the digital age in the 90s. The internet was just in its teething stages, and computers were starting to become a thing by then. This is the 90s we're on about, 90s Bond. So I guess they did play with the whole cyber terrorism theme with Tomorrow's News, and how much news can spread and how much news can manipulate and sell just by being about bullshit. Then, of course, 1998, again, we had Arrest. At this point, we were getting a Bond film every other year from 95. So in 1999, at the dawn of the millennium, we got the final Bond film of the century, The World Is Not Enough. Its theme song sang by Garbage, and again, we had, Pierce Brosnan return, Judi Dench return, Samantha Bond return, and we had a new recruit, John Cleese, who was Q's assistant and was going to take over for Q when he retired, because Q does mention that he's retiring in this, and also this was Desmond Llewellyn's final appearance as Q and his 17th Bond film before his passing that year in 1999. So we got The World Is Not Enough, and we got another actor that I like, Robert Carlyle as the villain in that, and I was like, hey, it's him at the Full Monty. We also got the Bond girl, who was also like the villain as well at that time. Well, no, we had a Bond girl that turned out to be the villain, but the real Bond girl was, Denise Richards' character, Christmas Jones. And Bond is as well made every opportunity to make a Christmas pun around it. This one again was all nuclear missile attacks and everything. Again, this came about in like a post-Cold War era, I believe. And, it was like world domination, the classic Bond villain and stuff. I also believe it was set around Christmas time. And I don't think we had a Bond movie set around that time since On Her Majesty's Secret Service 30 years before. So yes, we got The World Is Not Enough. And then the new millennium dawned. So the year 2000, we didn't get a Bond film. 2001, we didn't get a Bond film. But then in 2002, when the franchise was hitting its 40th year, we got Die Another Day. We got Halle Berry as the Bond girl, Jinx. We got Pierce Brosnan as well, making his final outing as Bond. At this point, he was 49 at the time. And we also got, Judi Dench returning as M and Samantha Bond as Moneypenny. And of course, at this point, with Desmond Llewellyn now dead, John Cleese took on the role as Q. So in this one, with it being 40 years before, we got to have tributes to like the old films, like The Car, like, classic Car, even though the car went a bit science fictiony and had camouflaging nano mirrors and what have you. And that's the thing with this one. I feel that the whole film got a bit too science fictiony. In this, the main villain creates the Icarus machine, which is supposedly meant to bring sunlight to dark places of the world, as it's got a mirror. And basically, it's just a death machine, and the bad guy just wants to destroy stuff, and Bond again has to stop him and save the day. So in this this was the first Bond film of the century. So, Bond had entered the 21st century at last. But at this point, I think Brosnan had felt like the franchise had gone into a new generation and he hadn't moved on just yet. Now, Pierce Brosnan, I don't know if he liked this one or not, but this one had some unrealistic moments. But to be honest, I didn't really bat an eye or care at that point because I just thought it has cool gadgets, it has an ice hotel, it has, it's just got some good action in there and some unrealistic bits. There's one bit where Bond is parachute surfing or something along the waves of an iceberg collapse or something. Yeah, that was very. See, I feel like they were a bit reliant on the new CGI stuff back then, and CGI wasn't as good as it is now. I mean, this movie was 20 years ago now as well. Can you believe that? 20 years ago. And this franchise is about to turn 60 now. So, yes. After this, of course, Pierce Brosnan, I guess he thought maybe it's time to hand over his Walker PPK and let another actor take on the role. So, for 4 years, the franchise was off screen this time. 2003, we didn't have a Bond film. 2004 and 2005, we didn't. But then in the summer of 2006, Daniel Craig made his first James Bond debut. And that is when I feel the franchise had got a new coat of paint, a reboot, and everything. But we'll get to that in the next episode, the Craig years. So, Pierce Brosnan's Bond. Now, Pierce Brosnan, I thought, was an okay Bond. I remember, like I said, as a kid, I watched, Sean Connery Bond films with my dad on Saturday afternoons when it was on ITV. But as I got a little older, I remember then watching Pierce Brosnan films. Now, the first one he did, GoldenEye, was given an R rating or a 15 in the UK. But then after that, they toned the violence down again to apply to a younger audiences, which I think it worked as a 12A. So, yeah, I thought Brosnan brought some classic feel to it as well. Again, playing around with the puns and also, sort of being like that flirtiness to Moneypenny. I feel that his Bond definitely got the women a lot more easier. He would definitely had his way with women and stuff. That's what I felt like when I was watching his Bond movies. I think he gets lucky a lot with women. I mean, Bond always did with the women. He always got with the. He's a womanizer, basically, and that's what I feel Brosnan's Bond was. Again, James Bond is a womanizer, but that's what makes him Bond. Also, he's not a brilliant spy either. He's quite terrible at it, but we don't care. We love the series and we love Bond. So I think he also was a bit psychotic with the villains and how he did executions. Like in Tomorrow Never Dies, when that German hitman, he overpowers him and he's like, I am just a professional doing a job. And Bond's like, so am I. And just shoots him, kills him without remorse. Again, he was very remorseless with his kills. I mean, Bond has always been that way. but he had very dark humour and dark tones, but also a charm to him as well, which I feel James Bond should always have, and a slickness to him. So, Pierce Brosnan, was he a good Bond? Yeah, he was alright. Yeah. So, how would I rank his Bond films? Well, for me, my number one spot, my favourite Bond film from Brosnan is GoldenEye, and that's followed by The World Is Not Enough, and then Tomorrow Never Dies, and then Die Another Day be my least. So, yeah. So yeah, that's it for this one. I think I've said all I needed to say about the Brosnan years as Bond. So what do you think to Pierce Brosnan? Do you like him? Do you hate him? What's your favourite one from him? So yeah, if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, share with your friends. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and you can watch the series so far on my channel, you know, from the Connery years to the Lazenby years to the Moore years to the Dalton years. So join me next time where I'll be talking about the Craig years, where we'll be bringing it up to date. So until next time, I bid you all a goodbye, friends, goodbye.